ÖTILLÖ Swimrun World Series is presented by Garmin, Campsite Nature, Head and Vivo Barefoot.
For 2 years, the organisers have been searching for a suitable British swimrun location, and the time had finally come for the eagerly awaited premiere. The first ÖTILLÖ Swimrun qualifier on British soil also doubled up as the first of the new races in the ÖTILLÖ Swimrun World Series. Welcome to the Isles of Scilly, this beautiful group of islands where the Scillians make their living primarily from tourism, fishing and cut flowers out in the mighty Atlantic Ocean.
So the Isles of Scilly are located 28 miles off the coast of mainland UK, off the coast of Cornwall, and you can travel here on a ferry or you can take a short flight over from either Land's End, Newquay or Exeter. And when you arrive here to our little bit of paradise, you'll be welcomed by a lovely island community with a population of just 2,000 people over 5 islands.
The course covers 4 of the 5 largest islands, with the start and finish in the main settlement, Hewtown, which is situated on the largest island, St Mary's. The athletes face 30 kilometres of cross-country running on the islands St Mary's, Briar, Tresco and St Martin's, along with 7.5 kilometres of swimming between them. 2 of the swims are more than 2 kilometres long. Around 100 teams representing 17 nations arrived in the Isles of Scilly to fight it out for the top 8 places, which secure a place in the World Championship.
So we're really looking forward to the ÖTILLÖ Swimrun series coming to the UK and certainly coming to our special islands here on Scilly, because we have a growing reputation for outdoor sports. We host a triathlon and we've also had a marathon in the past, and we have a brilliant adventure swim series here as well that happens in September. But this is very different for us because this is inviting competitors from all over the world, and we look forward to showcasing our beautiful islands for this unique event.
It's really beautiful. It's there's lots of wildlife and it's very clean, so we're just amazed at how the people really appreciate and respect nature.
Because my friend here that is a little bit crazy was giving me the opportunity to say, okay, let's go to Scilly Island to see what will happen.
It's for the challenge and also maybe to take a place for the championship.
The start is on Lower Strand, inside the pier and the harbour in Hewtown. The course sets off on a running leg along the eastern coast of St Mary's, followed immediately by one of the Munster swimming legs.
To find this place made us really happy. We found it last summer and went here for the first time in September. And we just fell in love with it for the first time. And the trails that the race will be running on are just magnificent. Coastal trails and the swims will be very, very demanding. But with these long swims, and especially with the tide, the currents, being used to swimming in open water, you will have a good advantage in this race.
One team benefiting greatly from the long and exposed swimming legs was the British duo Andrew Fargus and Richard Stannard, who, getting out of the water here, had already built up a gap before the first brief run on Tresco Island. As the tide is low during this first part of the race, the athletes can combine wading and swimming on the following legs into Briar via a brief landing on Samson Island. The teams are running down the open fields on Briar and embarking on another swimming leg. There's a distance of 450 metres to cross to Tresco, where they will be greeted by the sights of the ancient forts, Cromwell's Castle and King Charles's Castle. After roughly 1.5 hours of competing, Andrew and Richard are still holding on to their overall lead. They're approximately 3.5 minutes ahead of the following pack. Here, they're getting out of the water. The leading women's team worked their way through the seagrass and tang. The team is 4:02, Maria Erdstadt and the reigning world champion Annika Eriksson of Sweden. The best mixed team so far, Swedish pair Oscar Davidsson and Martina Ågren, land on Tresco roughly 2 minutes later. The footpaths and the terrain in the Isles of Scilly are not only beautiful in themselves.
We also move through an environment which has more historical places per square metre than anywhere else in the UK. So there's things from 2000 before Christ in the ground and in the environment all around us. So it's just a historical and wonderful place to be.
The run across Tresco Island, taking the teams down to New Grimsby and into Tresco Abbey Gardens, which were established over 100 years ago. With the mild winter climate, long hours of summer sunshine and high walls and hedges providing protection from the Atlantic winds, the garden is now home to exotic plants from all over the world. It's here that a few shorter but nevertheless challenging swimming legs await for the athletes at Old Grimsby before the teams go on to reach the next large island, St Martin's.
This racecourse is really special as we have quite a lot of tide. Every 6 hours it's either high tide or low tide. When the tide is low, there is basically no movement, but when it starts shifting towards high tide, the tidal stream starts pushing, and we will see that during the course in between the islands of Tresco and St Martin, how the teams will be pushed by the tide in one direction.
The islands are special for the swimrun series because every time the competitor turns a different direction on the course, they're going to have an amazing new experience. 1 minute they're going to be on white sandy beaches, the next minute they're going to be in the world famous Tresco Abbey Gardens, and then they'll be running through the nature trails, and all of it is breathtaking but very different. So I dare say when they're doing such an endurance-led course that it'll keep their sort of mind occupied as they're competing.
Upon landing in St Martin's in Lower Town, the athletes are met by an energy and drink station at Karma Hotel.
It's perfect.
This is great.
This is the start of a demanding but stunning running leg along the paths all the way around the northern part of the island. This is a leg that comprises many vertical metres, uphill as well as downhill. After rounding the lighthouse, the main landmark on the northeastern point, there are only a few kilometres remaining down to Higher Town. This running leg on St Martin's is the longest of the race and also leads into the longest swimming leg. This brutal passage across and back to St Mary's, all in all, covers a distance of 2,340 metres, which makes it the longest swimming leg in the ÖTILLÖ Swimrun World Series. In the overall lead are strong swimmers British pair Andrew Fargus and Richard Stannard, who were first to navigate this exposed stretch of water. Around 5 minutes behind them, there's a strong and close fight for runners-up spot, involving the Swedish teams, number 9 Stefano Prestinoni and Fredrik Axegård, and also team number 12, Henrik Valberg and Klaus Viren. Team number 5, Andrew and Richard, made no mistakes. They completed a remarkable race and held on to their lead as they came out of the water. Their margin was enough to complete the final run past Old Town and into Hugh Town to cross the finish line at Lower Strand as the winners of the first ÖTILLÖ Swimrun Isles of Scilly. The clock was stopped at 5 hours, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. The duo delighted, having made history.
We did set out to try and win, and the plan came off. It was to swim for hard early, get into the lead, and then try and maintain that lead.
Stefano and Fredrik's strong run over the final 6 kilometres saw them win the battle for the second place, crossing the line only 2 minutes later. The leading mixed team, Swedish Oscar Davidsson and Martina Ågren, and the leading women's team, Maria Erdstadt and Annika Eriksson, also of Sweden, stayed in contact throughout the race, merely a few minutes separating them. With the time 5 hours, 49 minutes, 14 seconds, Oscar and Martina win their class and clinch their first victory in the ÖTILLÖ Swimrun World Series. They also return home having booked their place at the Worlds.
We're so happy. This was awesome. It was a great day.
Yep.
We have had fun.
Maria and Annika, the duo who won in 2014 in Utah, went on to win the women's class in ÖTILLÖ Swimrun Isles of Scilly. Exhausted, but so relieved.
We're happy to be at the finish line. We had a tough time with Maria struggling this race, so it was hard.
But Annika was very good as usual, so I'm happy to be with her.
The first ÖTILLÖ Swimrun World Series race on British soil was a great success. Teams from 6 nations appeared on the final top 15 list. Silver and bronze in the ladies' class were won by British teams. In the mixed, local heroes adventure Scilly completed the whole race and will hopefully inspire more island residents to test swimrun.
I mean, it's an incredible way to see the land the way it is with their own body physically. These islands are especially beautiful, so it's just a perfect way to experience and be one with nature at the same time. And as a team too, I think that's an especially important part of swimrun.